Welcome to Pizza and More. Lots of people have actually, unfortunately, or they are gluten intolerant. Is it really possible that these people are not able to eat a nice and a fantastic pizza? No, it is possible. I'm Jürgen and we make now together a fantastic gluten-free pizza dough, and you will see this is really absolutely delicious. It is not the same because the handling of that gluten-free flour is totally different. Because we have, in the first instance, we have absolutely no gluten, which means the dough will not keep together. The dough falls out or falls away, and it's very hard that the dough stays together. In this flour I have, and to be honest, I was absolutely shocked when I bought this flour, because this pizza flour I bought was really very expensive. However, there are many ingredients in this flour which keep the dough together and which create a bit a different taste, so that the dough tastes like a normal pizza. The ingredients in this flour I bought are, I have to read what is in. This is, of course, a gluten-free wheat starch. Then we have dextrose, we have corn starch, we have buckwheat flour, we have rice starch, there are seed fibers, and as thickener guaran and some flavors. Of course, it's also possible, if you have all these ingredients at home, to mix this pizza dough, this gluten-free pizza flour, also by hand, by yourself. The ingredients and the recipe for this flour, or to mix this flour, is in the video description. Generally, we can say we have in this pizza dough exactly the same ingredients like in a normal pizza dough. We have flour. Yes, we have a different flour because this is the gluten-free one. We have yeast, we have water, we have salt, and we have here some olive oil. The structure of the dough is totally different. As I already said, it's not keeping that strong together. It's more like the dough from a nice cake. When we handle this dough, it's difficult because the dough can crack. Especially then stretching the dough is very difficult, but this is then something we will do later. And now I would say we start directly with the ingredients and with creating the dough. And here we can see directly our ingredients. This is 500 grams of this gluten-free pizza flour. We have here 400 grams of cold water. I have here 17.5 grams of extra native olive oil. We have here 17.5 grams of fine sea salt. And we have 3 grams of dry yeast. If you want to use fresh yeast, this is also possible, then please use 5 grams of fresh yeast. The recipe I have here, I follow with all these ingredients directly the recipe which is written on the package from the flour. And the first what we are doing now is we add the water into our mixer. We use today a normal mixer. It's not necessary to have here a spiral mixer. I have here a normal kitchen machine. This works fantastic. I do not need really a neat hook. It's also possible with such a whisk. This works. Also, you can also use your hand mixer, or you can use simply your hand to mix all the dough. The first we add now to the water is our yeast. Independently if this is the dry yeast or if this is the fresh yeast, we add now the yeast to the water. We switch on the machine and we let it mix up a little bit, and then we continue with the rest of our ingredients. If the water and the yeast is nicely mixed up, we add the first half of the flour. Here you have to be a bit careful due to this huge amount of starch in the flour. It's very dusty. So add the first half and then start your mixer and mix it up until we have a homogeneous dough. And now after 1 or 2 minutes we can add the rest of our flour. And then we start again the mixer and we continue mixing for around 5 minutes. And now after 5 minutes we have already a nice and homogeneous dough. And now it's time to add our olive oil and we add our salt. And as next we switch on the mixer again and continue mixing for around 2 minutes. And now after additional 2 minutes mixing, the dough seems to be ready. We take it out of the mixer. I cover the counter with a bit of olive oil. This protects or this avoids that the dough sticks too heavy to our counter. And I would recommend to cover also the hands with olive oil. Otherwise the dough would stick heavily to our fingers. Here you can see the dough now on our counter. I add some olive oil into my hands and then I shape a ball out of this dough. It's also easier if you use a spatula for this. And you see, as I have covered the counter also with olive oil, it's easier. So, and we wrap this now into a foil and then we place it into the fridge for around 30 minutes and after this we create our dough balls. And now after 30 minutes in the fridge it's time to proceed with the dough. I see not really any difference in the dough from 30 minutes before to now, but it doesn't matter. It's a total different dough than the normal dough of yeast we have for pizza. Now it's time to shape our dough balls. And here is now our dough. I covered again the counter with olive oil and also here on my kitchen scale I add some olive oil to protect or to avoid sticking from the balls to the scale. You also can easily divide this dough by 3. You can also use a scale and then try to have every ball with the same weight. The weight will be between 290 and 300 grams roughly. I have here now dough balls with the weight of 307 grams. Now I add some olive oil into my hands. You can also use beforehand already olive oil, then it is not that sticky. Then you take the balls and then you only shape a ball. It will not work that you create a normal dough ball like with normal pizza because we have here no gluten, we have no strengthening of the dough, so it will not work that we create here any gluten structure or any strong surface from the dough. The only what we make is simply to create a ball. Now you can see I created here 3 balls. It's now time to cover our dough balls with a plastic wrap. All my dough balls are now wrapped up into a foil. I add it all into this pizza box and I close the lid, and it's now important to place these pizza balls into the fridge. They stay minimum 3 hours in the fridge and maximum 24 hours, and after this time we can bake our pizza. My dough had now a leavening time of 22 hours in the fridge. I took it now out. I prepared all my toppings. I have here San Marzano tomatoes. In this video, I show you how I make my original Neapolitan or Italian tomato sauce. I have here mozzarella or fior di latte. If you use the normal mozzarella, which is in that salty water, then please 1 day or a half day before you bake the pizza, remove the cheese out of the salty water, cut it into sticks and put it into a sieve so that the mozzarella can drain, and afterwards the pizza is not that soggy. I have here fresh basil, I have some nice olive oil, and I have some grana padano. And now I would say, let's make the pizza. I already unpacked the dough out of the wrap. It's important to use here some rice flour or something which is also without any gluten, because if you use semula or normal flour, then you have exactly this what we don't want. We won't have any gluten, and that's the reason why we use here rice flour, or you can also use the flour from which we made our dough. And now I added already some rice flour also on top, and now we have to be here a bit careful because we are not able to stretch the dough. As I said, the dough will not keep together, so we can't stretch it normal. We only have to press it. And we start like we do it with a normal Neapolitan pizza in the center, and we press only the dough towards the crust. And this is what we do around the circle. And from time to time, we take our spatula and some rice flour and we release the pizza from the counter, because it's possible that it sticks to the counter. With the spatula, we release it and push some rice flour underneath, and then this protects the pizza from sticking. And then we continue until we have the right size. If we have the final size, we remove all the rice flour which is around our pizza, because it should be avoided to have all this rice flour in the oven. That's the reason why I remove it. By the way, I make today the pizza in the electrical pizza oven, and if you have to use a normal home oven, which is also possible, I share with you the video where I show how it works in the normal kitchen oven. So the first, and now it's exactly the same like a normal pizza with a normal dough. We add as first our tomatoes. As next some Parmesan or grana padano. If you don't like this kind of cheese, then let it away. As next some fresh basil. And then it's time for the cheese. And last, a bit of olive oil. And then it's time to launch it. Here it's recommended to use a pizza peel with holes, because here the rice flour can fall away. And here we shake it a bit so that really the rice flour falls away, and then it's time to launch it into the oven. I preheated this oven to 425 degrees. And now the pizza is ready. And here you can see this nice result, and honestly this looks like each other normal pizza as well. Now, last but not least, as decoration, some basil leaves. And like it is for a nice margherita, some olive oil. That's it. Looks delicious. This dough is absolute crispy or crunchy, and it is really full of air. And now I think I test one piece. At first I take a bite from the center. The center, I have to say, tastes exactly like a normal pizza. There is no difference, but maybe in the crust. The crust tastes a little bit different than a normal pizza, but I have to say it tastes really great. If someone would give me this pizza and wouldn't tell me this is a gluten-free pizza, I definitely wouldn't taste any difference. It is fantastic. My recommendation, if you have some gluten intolerance or if you have guests who are gluten intolerant, then provide them such a pizza, they will love you, I promise you. And now, let's proceed with baking such pizzas. It's really a great success. If you like my video, I would be happy if you would subscribe my channel. And then, see you soon in the next video. Ciao!